I think it's common for the path to economic development to be kind of a crooked path. At least that's what I've noticed with different colleagues in this industry. I actually went to school to be a science teacher, and my bachelor's degree is in geology.
Welcome to our Industrial Advisors podcast. We are live from IAMC here in Indianapolis. Myself and Matt McGregor. We have a great guest today, Katy Preidt, who is a economic development manager at Duke Energy Corporation. So lots going on with that role. Tell us a little bit about kind of your background, how you got into that sector, and what that role entails today.
Yeah. So I think it's common for the path to economic development to be kind of a crooked path. At least that's what I've noticed with different colleagues in this industry. I actually went to school to be a science teacher, and my bachelor's degree is in geology.
Where'd you go to school at?
Ball State.
Okay, yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, so while I was student,
I think I read you did your master's and your undergrad there.
yes, I did. So I took the GIS class my senior year, and I loved the spatial analysis of it. It was something I had never heard of.
Bill's already lost.
Yeah, that's above my pay grade. Yeah,
The geographic information system. Then
I'm lost as well.
that was such a fun class. So during student teaching, I decided to go back for my master's degree in GIS. And after graduation, I wanted to get out of Indiana and forge my own path. So I moved out to California and worked at Apple on their maps using that GIS degree.
Yeah, awesome.
But I missed Indiana and my family, and the cost of living here was a big difference.
It's a little different,
Bay
a little different than the Bay Area.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly that.
Born and raised a Hoosier.
So I'm very used to it here in Indiana. So I wanted to get back here. I applied for a job at Duke Energy on their GIS team. My mom wants me to say that she encouraged me to do it. So she is the reason I'm in the utilities here.
We give mom the credit.
Yes, give her all the credit. So I started on the GIS team at Duke Energy, then moved into an engineering role, an engineering technologist role in the distribution design team. And then from there, I heard about economic development at a lunch and learn. I had no idea what economic development was generally, especially on a utility scale, what that meant or why we needed it. But it seemed to be a perfect fit because I was missing that piece that could fill up my cup as far as community service. So it combined my technical background with bringing in jobs and investment to the communities we serve. And that's very important to me. So that works.
Awesome. Excellent. Do you miss California at all?
Oh, the weather. Yeah. Especially when it starts cooling down here, the weather was beautiful. But I'm an Indiana girl, so I love it here.
Well, tell us a little bit about the power grid for your region. What's it made up of? And is it competitive U.S. wide? Would companies come here because of power rate?
Yeah, so we're still mostly coal here. We have gas, hydro, and solar. But yeah, we see a lot of interest here in Indiana and in our full Midwest service territory. We have competitive rates. We have a great team of economic developers here at Duke Energy, and I hear a lot of great feedback about my teammates. So I know folks want to be here and work with them.
Excellent. And before the podcast started, we were talking a little bit about some of the industrial deals that you guys have landed here. Can you talk to that a little bit? You mentioned a bike company. You were talking about food and beverage. What else did you say? There was a couple other wins.
Yeah, there's SK Hynix up in West Lafayette, chip manufacturer. There's been some food and beverage wins. There's the Guardian Bikes down in southern Indiana. So we've had some different industries and big wins. There's some EV space wins as well. So yeah, there's plenty of folks coming here to Indiana. It's a great place to be.
Yeah, affordable living like you were talking about earlier too. So that's good.
Crossroads of America.
Yeah. And the Colts, the Indianapolis Colts are off to a great start. So and the Indiana football is ranked 2 in the country. So that's pretty amazing as well. No, as a base, there's almost won the title. Right? That's good. It's almost as good as the Seattle sports environment right now.
Interesting. Yeah. We'll see what happens tonight. Well, for the listeners, when they listen to this, tonight is Game 7. Yeah. So big night for us. Yes. Tell us more about Duke's Site Readiness Program and how it helps prepare communities for industrial development.
Yeah, so the Site Readiness Program is something I feel so lucky to be able to lead for our whole Midwest region. So that's Indiana, Ohio, and Kentucky. Our Ohio-Kentucky service territories like the greater Cincinnati region. So that process starts out early in the year. It's a competitive program, so communities have to apply and be chosen. So I think that kind of adds to the value and the prestige of participating in that program. We work with the national site consultant, the site selection group. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they come in from out of town and help us. And then we work with some local engineering firms here in Indiana, Banning Engineering, and in Ohio, Kentucky, Bear Becker. So we start off that process with an RFI that communities fill out. They come in, they being the consultants and engineering firms, come in for a mock site visit. And some communities, that's like their 100th site visit. They're very familiar. Some have never done a site visit before, so it's brand new for them. But either way, it feels like a really valuable experience to practice presenting your community and your site for a potential investor. From there, the consultants have a final presentation they put together for us and for the communities to invite local stakeholders to learn more about the site, the strengths and weaknesses, some potential target industries that they see that could work really well at the site, and then some conceptual drawings to help visualize future industrial development, what that could look like at the site. Then we end with a grant presentation to help the community implement some of those recommendations. And so I know we'll probably talk about this, but the fast-paced environment right now is crazy. Industry's moving so fast. So it's a really competitive advantage for communities to be one step closer to being ready for that.
On that program, is power, like in a lot of the places in the United States, if you were going to do industrial development, power would be your outside date. So if it's a 1-year process to get all your site entitlements done, it might be 2, 3, or 4 years to get the power. How is that in your region?
So for us, it really just depends on the size of the project and where it's going. Some of these sites are like right next to transmission lines or right next to distribution lines. That will, of course, be a lot faster than if we have to build out miles and miles of infrastructure. So it's really very site and project dependent. If you only need a megawatt, there's a good chance we might have that available on our distribution system, just to be able to put some transformers there for you. If you need a substation filled out, that might take a few years just for the equipment ordering.
For sure. Well, let's stay on the power topic because there's a lot of talk about power today's environment. So what, in your opinion, are the biggest challenges with the power grid right now and how that's kind of impacting the industrial sector?
So the biggest challenges I'm seeing and what I do day to day is the speed that industry is moving and the increased demand. I know the operations always seem to want to be started yesterday, and infrastructure build out takes plenty of time, like we talked about. I wish it was just flipping off a switch.
Totally.
Taking your extension cord and plugging it into a high voltage line, like that would be ideal. But it takes planning and permitting and construction. So it could take years in cases, especially with these big complex projects. But the good news is I really want to plug our engineers because they're coming up with really creative solutions to help keep us competitive in the areas we serve. They want to win, and it's so great to see them kind of step into this economic development role with us.
Where does the more power with the demand come from? Like if you're not building a new power plant, how does it happen?
So we are converting one of our coal power plants to a gas power plant. That's Cayuga. That will add about 470 megawatts to that site. So that's one thing in our works from our integrated resource plan, our last one that we submitted to the Indiana Utilities Regulatory Commission.
On the coal plants, is it just as simply as burn more coal, have more power?
That's something I wish I knew. I'm not sure if you can just like shovel coal and how that capacity works there, but no, I'm not sure on that one.
Okay, very good.
So on the companies that you're talking with and having conversations with, how are they looking at power right now and infrastructure as they're looking at kind of their long-term plans as they enter into a market?
So it seems like they're pulling us into the conversation way earlier than even just a few years ago, that we're having really great and educated conversations. They understand that that is the critical piece for their operation, for the timeline and success of their project. So we're able to really dive in with them early on. They have pretty reasonable timeline requests. I think now their companies are more understanding kind of some of the problems with the Condon type items. And it's not just in one area where your fault takes outsider of the trees that it seemed to be everyone be a lot more understanding lately.
Yeah, it's good.
And what do you've touched on some of this, but specifically the demand for EV and manufacturing and data centers, what are you guys doing to compensate for that upcoming demand?
So that integrated resource plan is something we work on. So we have to submit one of those at least every 3 years to the regulatory commission here. And that just shows all of our major utilities in Indiana have to do that. But that shows how we'll fulfill customers' needs with existing and future resources. So that's how the technical teams can make those plans. We have the forecasting teams who got even some of our projects that haven't won yet. If they do win, what will they add to the grid? How will you be built those demands? So we have very, very smart people behind the scenes.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, that's super insightful. Thank you for sharing your insights with us. We just heard the bell that the next conference session is taking place. So appreciate your insight on everything and spending time with us today.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was great meeting you. Awesome.
Thank you.